Hi, and welcome to Culture Lit, a podcast and community that explores Black women and romantic love through the lens of romance novels. I'm your host, Octavia Marie. Each episode of Culture Lit trains a spotlight on a new Black romance novel and then deep dives into the many themes facing Black women and love after 40. Be ready to laugh, sigh, and talk about Black women falling in love, yes, sex too, and the Black authors writing their stories. Hi, and welcome to Culture Lit, the podcast where Black love stories, Black romance, and Black authors take center stage. I'm your host, Octavia Marie, and today we have a very special guest, USA Today bestselling author, podcast host, and your favorite romance author's favorite romance author, Danielle Allen. Danielle wowed readers last year with Curvy Girl Summer. This was her first traditionally published novel, and now she's back with Plus Size Player and Nina's story. Nina is confident, she's sexy. There are some laugh out loud moments in this book, and it features I think, one of the most self possessed main characters that I've read in a long time. We'll be talking about representation, modern dating, and the toxic sludge that is out there in this modern dating world. I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but there is toxic sludge in the dating pool right now. And the reality of being a plus size Black woman in romance. And so, also that helicopter scene. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for this. So, Danielle, welcome to Culture Lit. I'm really excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I loved that intro. I appreciate that so much. So, but thank you for
I try to
having me.
do that. I try to give us some razzle dazzle coming in there.
Okay. Ah, thank you. Thank you.
So, for those kind of just meeting you for the first time, I don't know how that's possible. Now, I will say you were on my TBR list forever. And you have like such an extensive catalog. And I knew there were a couple of books that had been floating around there from Danielle Allen. I was like, oh, I want to put that on it's on my TBR list. And then last year, Curvy Girl Summer was everywhere. So Curvy Girl Summer is the first book I've actually read of you. I've known of you, and I just hadn't got to your books. And so after Curvy Girl Summer, I immediately was like, hit your back catalog. But for the listeners that are kind of just meeting you for the first time, how would you describe the kind of stories you write?
Oh, so everything I write, I always say that you never know what you're gonna get with a Danielle Allen story. Like you'll know it's good, you know it's gonna have spice, but like it could be anything because I write the story that comes to me. Like I don't know what the trends are. I don't know what's like hot right now. I can only write what like the characters are speaking to me, the story that's coming to me. And so it could be something that is more rom-comish like Curvy Girl Summer, and I guess Plus Size Player, like Zola's stories. Then I have the Hot Holiday Hookups, which are short, sexy, like quick little bites, quick little novellas. Then there's the Edgar Allan Poe inspired ones, the Women of V. There's the Broken Clocks, which is a fictional.
Don't get me started on Broken Clocks.
It's romantic fiction. I won't say it's not romance.
After I read Curvy Girl Summer, I was like, okay, I immediately hit like the back catalog. So like the first one I read was, I think, Gray Sweat. What is the Gray Sweats one? Sweatpants season. And then it was like cuffing season.
Mhm.
And so then after that, I was in it. I was like, oh, these were spicy too. And then I got to Broken Clocks and I was like, reading. I'm like, oh, this is one's going to be different. And then at the end, I was like, oh, I think I have to break. I was like, I have to put her down now. I was so heartbroken. I was like, what is this? I was like, and I was looking through pages and I'm like, is there some? I was like, no, there's got to be an update. Like, am I missing pages? Oh, I am still like, I was like, do I have to break up with Danielle?
Listen, you are not the first person to have said that. The thing is that there is a lesson in everything that I
Yeah.
write, and that one, the particular lesson was to live life to the fullest, to
Hmm.
not put your life on hold for anything, because tomorrow's not promised to any of us. And so, just like in sweatpants season, the lesson was like, do we objectify men? Sure, but not to the degree that they objectify women. And so when you look at the discrepancy, men wouldn't be able to handle if they were objectified the way that we are. And so that was so there's always a lesson and a message. And so I felt like that story, that was how I wanted people to walk away and like reevaluate their lives and how they were living. And so a number of people have said that about that story.
And so I got that, and it resonated. It resonated with me so because I had just, I think when I was read that last year, I was probably 1 year post chemo radiation. I had been through diagnosed with cancer in 2022, colorectal cancer, and then so 2023 for me was kind of, I was healing and a lot was going on, and so you're like, when you go through something like that, you start looking at it and evaluating, and that's exactly what I got out of it. But I was just like, and so I think when you go through something like that anyway, you tend to kind of just look at your life and look at doing things differently. And hence, I'm in Mexico and it was like I'm gonna stay a little longer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I was like, I come from a career from 20 plus years in PR, and I started this podcast. One, Black romance got me through all of that. During chemo, I'm reading, that's all I read. I didn't want to watch, I wanted nothing but good vibes. And so I was, I've been a Black romance reader. I started out years and years ago. I used to do copy editing for Black romance books, like right out of college. So this was like very early on, started like with Arabesque books, BET books, way, 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 way back. But romance has always been kind of just like a part of my adult life. And I think one of the first books I read, Black romance books, was, I was probably 14, 15, and I'm about to date myself right here. And it was a book my mom had, The Texas Rose, or the yellow Rose of Texas, or something like that. And it was like the first time that I had seen Black women and Black men. This one was a historical romance, but still just like us. And so one of the things about you that I find so like your stories is the language, the conversation, and how they talk to each other. And I was like, yeah, and it's relatable, it's authentic, and I'm like, yeah. The dialogue is so like it feels like I'm talking to my girls, or it feels like a conversation I've had with a guy, or just the interaction with them. It was easy. So that's what I liked about Nina and Russell in Plus Size Player. Their conversation, their interactions, it was just all very easy. There was no struggle. How do you go into writing such sharp and witty dialogue?
Well, first, thank you so much. So, because my background is in counseling, I'm very, very in tune with how one should communicate. And I love to communicate in general. And I think it's such an important and powerful way to like not just get to know the characters, like through
Hmm.
their dialogue, you get to know who they are, but also bringing the characters closer together. And so it's always been important to me. And like some people don't like dialogue heavy stories, and that's okay too. But like for me, I'm always going to write like heavy dialogue because I think that it is such an important, I feel like we need to do more talking in real life. And so I feel like the characters communicate and for the most part communicate well, and then
Yes.
see them grow from there.
And I'm fascinated with that because when I read that you were a life coach, you can see that shining through in the characters, their emotional intelligence. Like there's no misunderstanding, there's no miscommunication. They, like you said, they communicate well. And so I could see that your experience in that dialogue, it shapes the way. clearly that you approach romance. I even saw it with Curvy Girl Summer, and I was just like, everybody's emotionally mature. I loved it.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's so important to have conversations even when they're hard. And I think that we as people don't do that like we should.
Yeah.
And if I can show how the conversations could go, hopefully that would inspire someone to be able to tell somebody what it is that they want instead of being upset that they're not getting what they want out of the relationship, but never saying what it is that they want. There's that
Yes.
disconnect, and it's like, "Oh, they should know," but it's like everybody wants something different, so, like, that person's
Exactly.
I mean, there's some things like lying and cheating, yes, you should know that you should not do that. Outside of that, though, the particular needs that you have, if you don't communicate that to someone, how are they supposed to know? And so I, like, always hope that someone sees an interaction, and if they identify with it and relate to it or are experiencing it, they then are like, "Okay, maybe this is how I can approach this with my person."
Right. Because sometimes people are like, oh, you read romance? Hell yeah. Because I think, especially now, the way romance is, it's constantly evolving and we're getting new Black authors and people that, different relationships and things. And so they're so authentic, so real. Like I looked at their characters, I was like, I could see all of because the dates from Curvy Girl Summer, and I was like, was somebody in my? Because I was like, at least two of those experiences. I was like, okay, so we've all had these experiences.
Yes,
Like the married man. And I'm like, yes. Like,
yes.
okay, wait, is that your wife? Like, what? I was in a
And
grocery store once and I walked in the grocery store and I saw this guy or him and a girl walk in front of me. So I'd seen them. What caught my attention is the shoes she had on. I was like, "Oh, those cute." Her shoes were cute. And so I had, passed them in the grocery store. And then probably about 5 minutes in the grocery store, he comes down my aisle and I saw him and I just, kept going and he stops and he says something to me and I looked at him and he's like, I just had to, stop and you're so beautiful and blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, thank you. And I just, kept it moving. And he was like, I'd love to, take, and I thought, and I looked at him and I said, are you dead ass? And it was like, and I said, what about the wife you walked in? I saw the ring and you literally have a ring on your finger right now. You walked in here with her. Are you dead ass trying to pick somebody up in the grocery store with your wife 2 aisles over?
that is wild, but it's the audacity.
It's
The
the
auda
audacity.
And, like, one of the things that I wanted people to see with Aaliyah's date was that it's not because some people personalize those experiences, and it's like, "What is it about me that makes him, like a married man, think that I would be okay with that? What is it about me that a man thinks that X, Y, and Z?" And then they don't talk about it,
Right.
and so then it feels like, "Oh, this is only happening to me," and I wanted people to see that, like, no, this is happening because they don't know how to act. Like those particular
Exactly.
individuals. It has nothing to do with anything that you're putting out or projecting. This is the ones who would lie about not being married when they are married, they are gonna do that regardless. It does not matter
Yeah,
that
for
have
sure.
it all together, that you are confident. It doesn't matter if you're big or small, tall or short, your race. Like if someone is committed to lying about their relationship status, they're gonna do it. And so like it hopefully will take the personalization out of it so that people aren't feeling like, oh man, I'm doing something to attract this type of energy or this type of behavior. It's like, no, it's not you.
No, there's just toxic sludge in the dating pool. But I absolutely loved Russ. He was like, and I'm like, oh, that's refreshing. And it gives you, like you said, it shows women that no, there's yes, there's this out there, but there's also this out there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. There are amazing men out there. There are so many amazing men too. And I think that sometimes because if you run into a not so great man and then you run into another one, then you start to feel like, oh, wait a minute. But they're out there too. It's just, you got to keep your
yeah,
eyes peeled and like protect yourself from the ones who are giving you bad vibes, and then
exactly.
like give all your good energy to all the good ones out there.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been waiting on Nina's story. The listeners may not know. Nina is Aaliyah's best friend from Curvy Girl Summer. This is now book 2 in your Curve series, right? And Nina is Aaliyah's best friend. We got a little bit of Nina and her shenanigans in the first book in their relationship, and then there's a third, Jasmine, and Jasmine is coming. We got a little glimpse into Jasmine, what's going on her towards the end of Plus Size Player.
Hey, romance book lovers. It's your host, Octavia Marie, and I've got something exciting to share with you. You already know how much I adore Black romance books. Now I've taken it to the next level. Introducing Culture Lit Podcast digital bookstore on bookshop.org. Visit bookshop.org/shop/Culture Lit Podcast. That's bookshop.org/shop/Culture Lit Podcast. This is the spot where you can find every swoon-worthy romance novel I've ever raved about on the podcast and so much more. Not only can you snag your next favorite read, but every purchase supports independent bookstores and celebrates the voices of Black authors in romance. It's a win-win for readers like us who love keeping the Black romance literary community thriving. Thank you for being a part of the Culture Lit podcast community, and happy reading. I can't wait to hear what books you fall in love with next.
What inspired Nina's story? Like I said, she's a character that I was like, yes. She is just, confident. There's no, she wants to change or she's on some type of self-discovery. She is like immediately like, oh, she's that girl. Like,
At
and she knows she's that girl and always been that
that
girl.
girl, okay?
Yeah. Yes.
So with Aaliyah, she is confident, but like she was hesitant about dating. She wanted
Mm-hmm.
to be in a relationship. She wasn't confident in the dating space. She was confident
Mm-hmm.
about who she was, what she looked like. It was just like, oh, I'm not trying to go on all these dates. And Nina was like, well, why not? Like, you need like be out there, and if you
Right.
trying to find what you're looking for, because I'm finding what I'm looking for, and it's spread over these 4 men. And so Nina, though, is not only confident in who she is confident in like her system. The thing that
Right.
throws her off her like confidence a little bit is the fact that this one man is showing up and showing out in a way that she's like, wait a minute, I didn't know. Like, because she is committed to the idea, like, she sees what true love and true romance looks like at home with her parents.
Mm-hmm.
And parents have always instilled in her, like, no, you don't settle for anything less than this. Like, date around, date as many men as you need to. You do not settle because you are that girl. So, like, she has always had that energy, and she's been supported and loved and also has seen love. So it wasn't coming from a traumatic place like, oh, I was done wrong, so I'm never gonna like settle down. She just felt like in order for me to have the best quality experience while dating, I'm going to like relieve the pressure off of these men and let them do what they're good at. And
Right.
that I have a box for each of them to check, and they can do that. And Jasmine is also confident, but she is divorced and not looking for love at all. And so all three of them have completely different takes on romance and love, but they are all confident women who are navigating life in a bigger body with their natural hair and their brown skin. And I feel like that I knew that for my first traditional titles, I wanted to tell these stories. I wanted it to be, and I like when I pitched it, it was that Aaliyah's was a slow burn because that's who Aaliyah is as a person. Like,
Right.
she's not going to make any moves with men that don't qualify. And with Nina, you see her on her dates with these different men, and you can see why she would like each of the men that she's with, but you can also see why the one who caught her eye catches her eye. And so,
Baby.
okay. And so then with Jasmine, that story is different than the other two because you know that she's going through some things in her hometown. Like, you know that like stuff is going on with her aunt. And so her story is different, but like still valid and valuable and like necessary to this whole universe because there are some people who are very confident in who they are and what they're looking for, but they are apprehensive about the act of dating. And I feel like that's where a number of people fall. Nina is more where we aspire to be, where it's like she is confident and not only who she is, but what she wants and like how she gonna get there and all of that. And so she moves through the world in that way. And she moves through men in that way too. And then Jasmine is very confident in who she is, but like post divorce, she's just like, oh no, I'm good off that.
I'm
Like
good.
I would like some dick would be nice, but like I'm completely okay with chilling. And so like they all have different perspectives. And I just felt like in the traditional space, in the indie space, there's so many amazing books with that Black
Yeah.
heroines
Yeah.
doing their thing. But in the traditional space, I can't think of any where they're fat, Black with natural hair and their story isn't like revolving around losing weight or like getting fit for the like. So it
Y-
just means that I can't think of any, and so
And
that's why it was important for me to write and tell these stories.
yeah, and that's why I think with Curvy Girl Summer, it was such a resounding success that
Yeah.
because so many of us got it. And,
Mhm.
like you said, usually there's some breakup that causes some, or somebody said something, or there's somebody, there's always some, I'm searching, self-discovery, learning to love yourself kind of always going around. But here someone is like, I'm cool with who I am. And there's nothing that, throughout the book, she's not trying to change herself. Yeah. And that's what I love. And so I like that about now in Curvy Girl Summer, I wanted to throat punch Leah's, was it uncle? I
Uncle
wanted to
Al.
throat punch the uncle, but even that was still, she didn't let that, any other book, that would have been some huge emotional something. She was just like, look, I liked you. She had her boundaries and she understood who she was. And she, and one, yeah, you're my family, but also we're not
Okay.
going to do this.
Okay. And she had things to say in her head, but she also is the type that like, okay, I'm trying to respect my elders, but you pushing me. But like she wasn't saying it to him like he needed to hear it. But I think that like because if Nina was in that situation, Nina would have said something because we all handle things differently.
Right.
And so
And she kind of did have, it didn't come from family. It came from, in little shade comments from someone who, who would come up to her in a bar or who was supposed to
oh,
be her coworker, but she immediately shut it down.
exactly. Like because the thing is, fat phobia is always constantly happening. So
Yeah.
like all of them experience it because I don't know another fat woman who has not experienced it. And so, like, even whether it's like super direct, like Uncle Al's, if it's like shady, like the stuff that Nina dealt with, if it's like a whole thing, like some stuff that Jasmine dealt with, it happens regardless. And so it would not be true to who they are if it didn't happen in the book and you saw it and then saw how for none of them, like none of them, it did not change how they felt about themselves. It did not, like, it was just like, oh, I'm gonna check it because, like, why are you talking to me like that? Or I'm gonna call it out because why are you talking to me like that? But it never, none of them went back home and cried about it and was like, "Oh my goodness, like I am too fat to
Right.
have this gorgeous man who wants me."
I got to lose, 50 pounds in 2 weeks.
Right. Like it was never giving that. And so that's what I wanted people to see also, that like people are going to say like whatever they want to say, and it sucks because people are not nice all the time, but and it can hurt your feelings, but don't let it change how you feel about yourself. Don't let
Exactly.
it negatively impact your self-worth. It can be like, man, why they say that? That hurt my feelings. Carrying on, because it should not have a bearing on how you feel about you.
Exactly. And, I kind of have said this a little bit already, but again, I love that Nina wasn't looking to be fixed or changed. She wasn't on some journey or trying to shrink herself to fit into some box that they want to, put us in sometimes. Why was it so important to you to center like her pleasure, her power, even the playfulness between her and Russ in her arc? And like you said, the three in the Curve series are so very different, but there's a power in Nina. And also, it's kind of a two-parter here because also too many podcast bros have mics. But it's always something about Black women are too this, or, relationships aren't working is this whole conversation. But the other thing that I liked about Russ is that he recognized who she was. There was nothing he was trying to change about her. He was into her because of exactly that. And he wasn't trying to, he knew that like he said, there was a point when he said, I knew immediately again, yes, she was that girl. And it wasn't something that he tried to change about her or wanted to fit her into this, these relationships where it's not a partnership. It's, you're trying to force someone into some type of submission. And I was like, okay, if that's what you're looking for, then go find that girl who is into that. Stop
Exactly.
trying to put a woman who is, a Nina into that role.
Mhm.
That's not who she is. If that's who you want, then go find her. Go find that woman that is her and stop trying to put, force women into this role that
Yeah.
you feel necessary in order for the relationship or partnership to work. And I like that that's what he liked about her.
Yes. He loved her down. And I feel like, I mean, but honestly, they all did.
Yeah.
Like, they all would have, like, if she would have picked them, like, they was trying to get chose, and she
And I
was
love that
like,
part, that aspect of it.
"Okay." And so, like, they were willing to accept whatever she was willing to give.
Right.
And it was just important because I feel like there are a number of fat women who got it like that and are moving like that. And I feel like that's not highlighted in our society. It's whenever you see fat women depicted, it typically is like she's the sassy best friend, or she is like a homely, like already settled down married type, like to the side, but not like just embracing who she is, what she's about, how she is that girl, like just not embracing her power, her pleasure, her essence, her wants, her needs, her desires. And I feel like, why not? Because we're deserving too. We're
Exactly.
deserving of all of that. So I wanted to showcase someone who not only knew it, but was standing on it and walking in it. And I feel like she embodies like what a lot of people in the dating space would enjoy, because it's like, even if you don't want a roster of men, but knowing your worth in every situation, because it wasn't even just who she is as a person. It's how she handles business, how she handles her work life, being out and about with the men that she deals with. Just her moving in that confidence and in that power. I felt like it was important for not only other fat women to see, but for all people to see, because it shouldn't be like, oh my gosh, this is rare. Like, because in my life, I know plenty of fat women who not only get play, are out here being a boss and doing what they want to do and living life on their terms. And so it's just being able to bring that to the forefront makes me happy, because I feel like other fat women knew. I feel like everybody else needed to know also that, like, no, we move like this too. Like, it's completely okay for us to stand in our power and to honor what it is that we want and our pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of pleasure, nice little segue there. I don't want to spoil too much. I want to leave a little suspense out there.
Yes,
But can
please.
we talk about the helicopter scene? I was like, oh, we gonna kick it off at the beginning. I said, oh, this is gonna be a good one, because that scene was hot. And I was like, oh, so you can write a hot scene. And you can write a hot scene that is a believable hot scene. I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Give me a little ice here. I was like, is that my hot flashes, or what's going on here? How do you approach writing these scenes that are, because I was like, wait, what did he say? So they're like the heat in them, but also it doesn't seem like it's just, thrown in there for the sake of throwing it in there. And, there's an emotional resonance with it. It all kind of aligns, and you're like, okay, is this how we started? And I said, okay, Russ is her favorite. He gotta be. He gotta be, because that scene, baby.
Yeah, like, and he was like, I feel like Russ is a good man, okay?
It's a good man, Savannah.
A good man, Savannah. But to be fair, the other ones were good too. But for Nina, Russ. So when
Russ,
it
Russ,
started
Russ.
sitting in my head, like, I saw it play out, and it felt very much like how that's just how they have always gotten down. Because when we meet Russ, they've already had 8 dates. They've been kicking it all summer.
For a
And
few months, yeah.
so they met at the top of June at a party, and so we're meeting them at date 9, and their chemistry is and has always been like that. And so, because I don't want to spoil anything at
Yeah,
all,
it's like, but just
but
wait till see chapter, and it comes early. It comes early, chapter 2.
because I feel like how any experience that they have, their chemistry just is like that when they're together. So that's how it came about.
Is that
And
is that all imagination, or Eh,
I've never been on a helicopter. I'll say that. I've never been on a helicopter.
are we in the Mile High Club though?
I've never been on a helicopter, and so, like, I don't know. But, like, that is in when it came in my head, I felt like, because Nina loves the sky,
Mhm.
and so for an experience to happen, and it's like, "Oh, I'm seeing stars and all all the ways I can
In
see
all
star.
the things and all the ways. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. Now, I also really loved the cover. I'm not sure where I am with all of sometimes the cartoony looking. I can leave it. But your cover, it almost was more like it didn't feel cartoony. It was almost like a painting of a real couple. So it was more art like. And I was like, I love, the Bantu knots and just like it was all very and I literally I was like, okay, this is what I envisioned her looking like. And I was like, okay, this is what Russ like. I think it captured them perfectly. How did the cover come about? Did you have a hand in the cover design? Or was it all
I was able
publishing?
to select Bramble is amazing. I was able to select the cover artist that I wanted. And so I saw Kyo's stuff and I was like, oh, I like this style. So the only specifications I gave them for all three covers was that they need to be visibly fat, like not alluding to, not her standing behind him trying to hide her body, like visibly fat. Like I want to see some rolls and some also the hairstyles. I wanted Aaliyah to have her like fro out, just like maybe a flat iron, try to like comb through it to like manage, but like definitely her natural tresses. I wanted in Plus Size Player, I wanted Nina to have her Bantu knots, and I wanted, even though she only wears them when she goes to this one like
Right.
formal event, but like I wanted to see Bantu knots on the cover of a traditional romance.
And I loved how you had her wear the Bantu knots to a formal event.
Yes. And so and I feel like, and then the next day she took them down and was wearing now it's just stretched out fro. And
Yeah.
then, Jasmine has locks. And so it was just important to me to be able to show that these are fat Black women with natural hair being loved and adored as they should, because we are worthy of love. Because there's so much negativity that is thrown at Black women or women in general, Black women in particular, fat Black women, and then natural hair. And so I knew that I wanted the covers to have them look the way they needed to look. And then, so that's what I really said. And then they came back with these three, and I was just like, love it. Love
Yeah.
everything about it. Home run.
So going back, I think we kind of touched on this a little bit because I'm fascinated with your, real life career. And my best friend is also a therapist. And so there's often a disconnect between what readers expect in romance fiction, I think, versus real life dating. And then, so like I said, I can tell you're very intentional with the interactions with the characters. And as a relationship coach and therapist, how do you balance that gap?
So I feel like if you look at Russ, he's amazing. He wouldn't have been perfect for Aaliyah. And if you look at Ahmad, he's amazing, but he wouldn't have been perfect for
No.
Nina. So it's knowing your characters and pairing them with the people who are meant for them, just like in real life, we sometimes we try to make things fit that don't fit. And like you were saying before, how people try to take a certain woman and oh no, I saw that you were like this. I want to change you and make you the way I want you, instead of just going for the person that you want, going for the type of woman that you want, instead of trying to take this woman and make her that. So for for me, I don't feel like it is that difficult to thread that, because I believe that in dating, whoever you're dating, male or female, respect is necessary. So like
Yeah,
having someone, you need
absolutely.
to respect that person, they need to respect you. You need to enjoy that person's company, they need to enjoy your company. And like some things that when people try to like demonize and minimize romance and they're like, oh, it's giving you unrealistic expectations. But what's unrealistic about showing up for someone, being there for someone, supporting them, loving them? Like that's not unrealistic. And so I just feel like that is part of the struggle I think people have when they're like, oh, this is unrealistic. And it's like, it's really not, because I wouldn't date someone who treated me poorly or, you know, all these negative things. It's not unrealistic to want to be treated well, to want to be talked to nicely, to want to be like loved and desired. Those are things that are normal everyday things. And so if you think that that's unrealistic, then that's something that you have to unpack from in here, in your heart, in your spirit, in your soul, because there's something within you that's saying that you don't think you're worthy of being loved and respected. And it's the man in the book does not, like, that man may not be the man for you, like that type of man. Because just like Russ is not like for Aaliyah, like that they wouldn't have hit it off, like that wouldn't have been their thing, but they're perfect for the people that they were paired with. And so sometimes we have to like take a step back and figure out why we think we don't deserve more than what we're getting and then move from there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then that has always behooved me. And when, men and women say, it's not realistic, and I'm like, at the core of these books, it's relationships. At the core of these books are relationships between a Black man and a Black woman. At the core is, a Black man who loves her down. Like, what is unrealistic about that? At the core is a man that wants to see his partner happy.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
at the core is human relationships. What is unrealistic about that?
Exactly. And I feel like as long as people believe that that's unrealistic, they will continue to settle for less than that. And I want more for all of us, men
Agreed.
and like across the board. I want more for all of us.
Yeah.
Feel like you
Because
deserve more.
you
Accept.
deserve it.
Exactly.
And and I see so many, and it saddens me and to see so many women settling for mediocre
Mm-hmm.
and basic struggle love.
Yes.
Because absolutely not.
Yeah. Like not interested.
Not
Not.
interested. You can keep that.
I don't want to
I'm
be a
good.
part of it.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Um, there has been such a discourse. Publishing has changed, especially for Black indie romance, Black romance authors, period. And you are now like kind of one of those, before your first, Curvy Girl Summer is your first traditionally published, but prior to that, you what, 30 books in as an indie author.
53.
Oh, excuse me, my bad. 53. Are you kidding? Okay, I'm missing you are deep. You got a strong back catalog. I knew it was, 30ish, but 53? Wow. So you're kind of like, you've seen it and been there and done it all. And so now there's this current discourse. I don't know if you've seen it on, they're talking about the Australian who hasn't written not damn one word. And it's like, oh, I wanted to be an author and started a book talk, and now I'm an author. And I got a book deal for 2 books that I haven't written not one word. So whatever ghostwriter is going to write that, it's going to be, you know, but you're like now in that space and you're this hybrid author, but the romance genre has come a long way, still has a very, very long way to go. And what do you think they're doing well when it comes to representation, and where does it still need to grow?
I feel like it just needs to grow.
Yeah. Because
Mhm.
there was no way a Black author
Right.
would have been able to
Exactly. So that's why
been on
I'm like,
TikTok for 2 months, not even 2 months, but
yeah,
this could have never been a Black author.
right. That's why I'm saying, like, the only thing I can say is that it needs to grow. Like, there's no, like, oh, well, at least I don't want to give concessions to the bare minimum. And so it's like, it needs to do better. It needs to grow. I feel very blessed and very fortunate to be where I am. I feel like Bramble has taken like great care of
Mhm.
me, but I've heard horror stories. And when I see things happening and people are posting about what their publishers aren't doing and all of that, it makes me sad because when I see that, it's usually Black authors and authors of color.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, that's
It's
not.
lazy.
Mhm,
It's very
absolutely.
lazy because I think in even Black film, Black creatives, Black authors, there is no excuse for you to say, "Oh, it doesn't sell." Oh, yes, the hell it does. Sinners just proved it does. Entirely Black cast. Kirby Girl Summer last year proved it sells. The readers are there. It's not the readers, it's the publishers. Because they show up. Look what's going to happen in Atlanta, the Black Romance Book Festival. It's been sold out since literally they announced it within minutes. Sold
Yeah.
out
Sold out quickly.
quickly. So, is it the readers? No, it's you guys. It's publishing. And for you in the big 2025 to say that you don't know how to market it or you don't know, no, yeah, you do.
Right.
You do.
You're
Because
making
you use the same things that you use for your other authors. There's nothing different. And this is from a PR person, 20 plus. And I've sat in the rooms and heard the conversations, and I'm like, no, it's the same. The strategy is the same. The audience is different. How you approach the audience is different. And that means you just need to have more people in the room that look like the audience.
okay. That's really what it boils down to because if the people write the books, but the people who are making the decisions are like, "Oh, no, I don't think so," then we have a disconnect.
There's a disconnect.
Yeah.
And if they were smart, I'm like, look how much money Sinners just made. Cost 90 million to make. It didn't
Mhm.
cross the $1 billion mark.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's not difficult. It's
It's
not brain
not.
surgery.
It's not difficult at all. And again, so it boils down to choices that need to be made.
Exactly.
And are you choosing right? Or are you choosing wrong?
I'm not even as entrenched in the publishing, as I used to be. But I mean, I'm like, I can see it, and I'm an outsider. I mean, basically an outsider. But I'm like, I don't understand what the disconnect is. But okay, moving on, because that can be a whole nother podcast. So now for some fun stuff. I know, like, what can I know there's at least one more book in the Curve series. Um, so we got Jasmine. We got a little bit of that, and then I'm like, oh, what happened there? So we got a little Jasmine story at the end of this book, the plus size player.
Mhm.
So what can we expect? Can you get a little bit of tease? And also, like, what can we expect? Like, are there going to be more curve books after this? Because I kind of want to know Gabrielle's story.
So they only bought, like, it was a pitch as 3 books, and so they only bought 3 books. So there's only 3 books at this moment that are planned. But a little tease about Jazz, like, Jazz went to visit her aunt. Like in Aaliyah's book, you know that like in the beginning when Aaliyah's like, are you okay? Like, I hate to bother you. And like every time they talk to Jazz, like it's been after she hadn't been picking up the phone. She hadn't been talking much. She like things are going on. So Jazz's book is a little more emotional, not Broken Clocks emotional, but like a little more emotional because she's dealing with the pressures of the stuff that's happening back home. And so you get to see what's happening the from June at the end of the like about mid-June all the way through like October or December, the New Year's Eve.
Okay.
So you get Jazz's story and you find out why Jazz was in her hometown all summer. And then you see how she deals with all of that. You see Aaliyah and who she ended up with, and Nina and who she ended up with in Jazz's book as they support their women supporting their best friend. So like you get to see the other couples in Jazz's book because Jazz's book stretches further beyond the summer than the first two, which were just like summer flings. So you get highlights and you get updates. So I'm really, really excited I'm excited for everybody to like get to know Nina and then for them to be able to see everything come together in Jazz's story.
Yeah, and I wondered, I was like, do we get more of everyone, as you close out this kind of series? But, you can't give too much in there because Jasmine has her own story. So I'm excited to hear that. You also have your Curvy Girl Confessions podcast, and baby, some of they're like, oh.
That was an idea I had to try to promote Curvy Girl Summer, but also to just have fun with some authors and asking them random questions and like getting their confessions. And so it's been a good time, but it has been when I did it the first season, I like spent a month just doing the interviews and then I was able to schedule them out. And that was cool for me, but it felt like for some people, they had a book out.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time their episode aired, it wasn't like, you know what I mean? So it was like a little difficult. So I was trying to do it like weekly, but it's so hard to do that and write and do all the other stuff. But like I'm keeping up with it, but it's like
because even with this part, I started it. I had the idea and I was just like, I just like talking about, I just love Black romance books. And then I got my diagnosis. So I probably did 1 or 2 episodes before I was diagnosed. And then I kind of just put it to the side. And even doing it bi-weekly is still a lot. And I'm like, oh, okay, wait, what I got to do now?
Right?
Because my real job, my real life, woo. So it is a lot. So I was like, and so how are you balancing all that? Because, life be lifing.
One week at a time.
Yeah. Because I'm like, you doing it all over there.
Yeah, it's a lot. And so what I had to scale back to is just like, okay, I'm going to do like 3, if there's 4 weeks in the month, I'm like 3 of the weeks I'm doing interviews. 1 week I'm going to have to be off. I hit up authors and just say, are you busy right now? Or are you busy tomorrow? Can we do this? And they like so lovely. I'm like, yes. And so
I'm going to ask this as if it's Nina, because I feel like Nina would be spicy and this would be a great question for Nina. But, you can answer in Danielle's voice also. But what would be Nina's favorite sex toy?
the rose.
You were very. Is that Nina's or?
Listen, it gets the job done.
Now the rose ain't no joke,
right? And
especially with a partner though.
Exactly. So yes, Nina knows what she wants.
Yeah.
And she's like very like, okay, like, so if she's trying to get off, she's gonna go with the thing that is a guarantee like good time. And so
Yeah. Because, that reminds me of it. I hate the book is not out yet. 'Cause there is,
yeah, no spoilers.
yes, and I'm like, oh, but that reminded me of the one scene, and I'm like, ooh, see, I feel like you have to come back because I feel like we have to discuss the sex scenes.
Yes, because I feel like because I just told somebody yesterday, I was like, no, I don't want like, don't talk about X, Y, and Z because like I know that I can't control it after the books comes out. Like, because some people just be spoiling everything just because they
Yeah.
can't. I was
Yeah.
like, but I don't want it spoiled before it comes out. I feel like I put too much hard work into it. Oh,
All I can say is Russell, Russell, Russ.
listen.
Okay. So, what's next for Danielle after
The next one is Big Girl Blitz.
Big Girl Blitz? Plus Size Player is out June 10th. Is that right?
Yes.
June 10th?
June.
Plus Size Player is next.
Yes.
Big Girl Blitz
Is April
is that next?
26th.
When does that come out? You can
April
pre-order
26th.
it now, right?
Yes. It's available for pre-order. Go ahead and get it so that you are ready with not only Jazz's story, but updates on our girls and to see how they living and what they up to. And so it's a good time.
I feel like Jasmine might outdo everybody.
I feel like I love every single story for different reasons. Like but all three of them, the stories are very impactful. But what I love about Jasmine's in particular is that you get to see the little bow on everything because it goes beyond what you saw in the other women's books. And so
And when does Jasmine coming up?
April 2026.
2026.
Yeah. So
Okay.
11 months. 11
Okay.
months.
If we must, I just have to finich your back catalog. I'm scared of your back catalog after Broken
Don't be
Clock.
scared. Don't be scared. That's romantic fiction. All the other ones are romance. Like
Okay.
they're all the others are romance except for the 3 nonfiction ones. All the rest are romance.
So there you have it. Go pre-order Plus Size Player June 10th. Go pre-order Big Girl Blitz April 2026.
Yes.
Danielle, thank you so much for joining me on Culture Lit. Your work, again, I'm astounded, continues to entertain, empower, and uplift Black women everywhere, especially the big girls. So thank you. I'm so grateful for your stories, the joy, the heat, the confidence you put on every page. I am a stan. This may be now a Danielle Allen stand podcast.
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
And let us know where the listeners can connect with you online.
So at also Danielle Allen, and that's .com, that's on TikTok, that's on Instagram, that's on Facebook. I have a Blue Sky account that I keep forgetting, but like find me on there.
Me too.
Like I'm like, oh yeah, let me post something local. It'll be, but like Instagram, TikTok,
Author
Facebook.
Danielle Allen.
And then my Patreon is The Art of Being Danielle. So follow me on Patreon.
Awesome. So there you have it. Plus Size Player drops June 10th from Bramble Romance. If you haven't already, please go pre-order that book. You will not be disappointed. Tell your friends and get ready for Nina and Russell. Until next time, stay lit, stay loved, and keep reading that Black romance.
You've been listening to Culture Lit with Octavia Marie, and that's all for us this week. Be sure to listen, download, or subscribe to more episodes of Culture Lit. You can find Culture Lit on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Apple listeners, please be sure to leave a review and let us know what you think. Don't forget to talk to me on social or share your Black love stories at Becoming Octavia Marie on Instagram or XO Octavia Marie on Twitter.